Good morning, everybody. Let me make sure I'm sharing. I am sharing. It is the 29th of December, 7 o'clock Central Time, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Let's go over quick disclaimers before we run into our day. It's going to be kind of quiet, I'm guessing, but just so you guys know, trading foreign exchange on margin carries high-level risk and may not be suitable for all investors. The high degree of leverage can work against you as well as for you. Before deciding to invest in foreign exchange, you should carefully consider your investment objectives, level of experience, and your risk appetite. The possibility exists that you could sustain a loss of some or all of your initial investment, and therefore you should not invest money that you cannot afford to lose. You should also be aware of all the risk associated with foreign exchange trading and seek advice from an independent financial advisor if you have any doubts. Today is Tuesday. We probably will not go the full length of our session this morning. We have not had an AIRIS alert since the 21st of December, so it's been very, very, very quiet across the markets, which is expected during this time of year. I stopped trading prior to Christmas, and I definitely do not trade between Christmas and New Year's because of so many bank holidays, and we'll see that here in a second. Just to keep you guys up to date, this is a live trading room. It's only for educational purposes only. There's no financial advice or any sort of recommendations that will be provided. Any trade that we may take during this session is not any sort of recommendation or suggestion that you should do the same. You need to make sure you're following your own trade plan. Past performance is not indicative of our future results, and do not trade with money that you cannot afford to lose. Before trading live, we always recommend that you operate within a trade plan that identifies your own personal rules for entries, exits, your targets, and your risk management, because you will be different than each individual that you come in contact with. So let me go ahead and clear this off and go right into our calendar. Isn't that amazing? We've got a great calendar today. There is absolutely nothing on the calendar this morning for December the 29th. And then when we go to our rest of the week look, this is why I don't believe there's a whole lot of quality trades being done, especially with AIRIS. You have a consolidation happening across the board because of lack of traders actually going in, major players, your institutions, governments, banks, and things like that. So you can see all the banks are going to be taking a holiday on Wednesday through Friday. And we even have it going into January 3rd for the New Zealand folks. And so really, that week after the holiday, it can be traded. It's not quite up to steam yet. And I'm going to probably wait till the following week to actually go full board on again and get that in. So just be aware of that. So we're not going to expect to see a whole lot of alerts, but I did want to recap a little bit about what we did yesterday with the US Swiss. When we came in yesterday, we saw it was pretty much a momentum type trade. Let me go show you where we were. I can't remember exactly where we purchased off at, but you can see the zone that we created, that we were range bound, and we created a triangle inside of here. Then we created another one while we sat for 2 hours waiting for sort of alert, but it didn't ever happen. There are wedges that happen all sorts of times, but Iris's position is to take the normal wedges and discard them to give us quality wedges. And so we can find wedges all throughout, but they're not quite the same levels. So we drew a couple and we decided to take a trade yesterday to see what would happen. We strictly went pretty much on momentum alone, although our triangles did break. It was kind of a head fake like we thought it would, and I moved my stop way above because I thought we'd come back to the mean, which it did, and it lingered there, and then it took the momentum downward. That was kind of what I was expecting. Had I stayed with my small, and let's go drop down to the 5 minutes so we can look at this a little bit closer. Had I stayed in the 5 minute and managed this trade, I would have been stopped out because my stop would have not been quite so high. I would have been probably around 12 to 13. I probably would have been stopped out here for me. But because we knew we wanted to watch it, and because it's longer than what we'd normally do on a day trading type, scalping type setup, I gave myself a little bit more wiggle room. And you can see that over the time, it really still struggled down here, but it finally broke right here, and then it's been continuing down, and it's come back to the bottom pretty much of where we were, and has fallen off again. So this is again, we mentioned this yesterday, that in the big picture, I think there's 70% of traders are actually long this pair. And I am what we call a counterculture trader. Now, it doesn't apply as much on the 5-minute charts. That's pretty much momentum trading. But in the bigger picture of things, knowing that 90% of traders are wrong, and if there's 70% being long, I kind of always want to be on the short side anyway and give myself the proper wiggle room. And so it worked out really well. But we have created another kind of new range bound area, and it would be from the bottom of this one where our target was down to here. So we've created this. Let me go back over here. And so if we were really wanting to play this today, we would say that our box is kind of like so-ish. And it's not precise, but it's pretty darn close. And what would we do? All depends. I mean, looking at our strength meter, this one's half and half. Our whole moving average is, telling us. And, one of the things is, if you're new to trading, this room, all the colors and things and all the noise, for me, this is noise. All that is a momentum indicator, but that really messes with my eyes. So what I do is we draw our wedges on the 15-minute chart, and then I move to the 5, and then I just track the current pair. Makes it a whole lot easier. So if I'm looking at the big picture here, Swiss is number 6, US is 3, so we would assume that it would continue further down. US on this hand is actually moving stronger, and we can see that happening based on this movement here. So, but we could flip, and it just did. And so just as we were talking, it flipped. The Swiss is strong again. So I would assume, and we've had the crossing momentum. Now, I would not be against, depending on where it is, let's just go play this game again. I'm going to go ahead and now I'm not advising anybody to do this by any means. I'm just playing because it's.
Oh, you're breaking out of the triangle, eh? There's another wedge that formed at the top there.
Yep, right there.
It broke out, and then you see how it's gone. It's already gone the length of the stick. If you drew a wedge
here,
yeah, just there, yeah.
And I'm just going to play because I have a feeling to do the same thing we did yesterday.
Yep.
So notice where my stop is. I'm going to move it just slightly above.
Oh, I'd probably put it just at the 60. 62.
Yeah, just stick at the top of the box. Just stick at the top of the box because there's not going to be. Oh, let me get this out of the way.
Not going to be much volume, right?
What's that?
There's not going to be very much volume.
There's not going to be very much volume. So you have to play it the same way we did yesterday. If you really believe this is going to move, and I would move this right down to there. So we're going for 8 pips at most with that 18 pip stop. Still not horrible. And playing basically a visual on this, there is a strong triangle here. You could also, notice we could draw triangles here. So you can do it. It's going to be pretty steep if you take into account right here. What I like about this particular place is that I'm getting notifications from people who are interested in Auvoria Prime. Isn't that nice to start your morning with? What I like about it is that we've had this strong move, as Matt mentioned, strong move up, and now it's kind of did this M formation. And we've also had the crossing of the moving averages, and our meter is strong still. Strong 5.3. It's not great. I would expect it to be sideways for a bit, and probably like it was yesterday when we get to the probably the 8 o'clock hour Central Time-ish. Somewhere in that area, we're probably going to see a push for the dollar because its market is open. But overall, I still think it's going to go down. And, that's normal. And looking at it on 1 minute is probably going to give us a better picture of what we're doing. Let me blow this up so we can see it on a bigger scale. Yeah, I think we're going to have a hiccup right here. We'll have a hiccup right here. My bet is it's going to come into play here. There's your blue wall. Our target is just ahead of it. This is the area I'd be really concerned breaking down. If I wanted to get now long term, if we're doing a long term trade, I'm not worried about this blue line. But I'm trying to be done by the day. But everything's in order. And so, I mean, that's just a strict momentum. And you could, as Matt said, you could draw it. You could even draw a triangle here. And here, and then when it broke here would have been a good entry. you could have gone immediately and created one now, and it would be still inside it. The question is, what's the quality of it?
The higher quality would be the ones where you can get significantly more quality touches, where you're not breaking any candle bodies, and so
I gotta find my tool again.
It's
just my eyes, just to see what happens. That's not the one I want, though.
no, you want it over a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm drawing a picture instead of actually using the tool. That's what I did. There we go. I'm gonna go from here to here to here's what I see.
Okay.
That's not what I want there. It's not great.
No.
If I drag this back here,
yes,
then I go all the way back, then you'll see why.
You'll need your A back more, eh?
Yeah. I can do that too. It all fits. That's just a carryover. To me, that's just a carryover. So to me, it's very tainted. Let's do it like that and see what that looks like. That's better. That's kind of what I would be looking at. And where I got in was just within that 2 pips of the window, what I would normally do. Obviously, this is a little bit hindsight. We created this wedge, but it was there. It's not an iris alert per se, but it's there. And so we now have to go ahead, since we're going to monitor this somewhat, we're going to come in here and put that we got a short position here. And then I'll take this and drag this up to my stop, or at least close to my target.
I was just looking at I was looking at Arrow just to see what.
Yeah, I did something on Arrow this morning.
Yeah, but I mean, it's consolidating and it's really gross.
Yeah, it's still the same. It's the same stuff that we're having here. Now, I will go over here to the swing piece of that. Let me get rid of this. And I just took
For that, you're using the 4 hour, right?
Yep.
For the swing?
Yeah.
Okay.
4 hour for the swing. You can use an hour if you want it shorter, but got an alert this morning to be a seller on the euro pound. I thought I'd go ahead and mark, or buyer on the euro pound, and go ahead and mark it. So we have this bounce in the area. We cleared the moving average. We had our arrow, and I bought in, going for about 100 pips ish.
Oh, that's solid.
And so I don't expect it to hit today. I don't even expect it to hit tomorrow. I definitely don't expect to hit this week, but it's in demo. And it'll be what it is. But you can tell we're in consolidation. It's no different with a 4 hour. I get very few alerts, but we're sideways base. And so I'm in the middle, but I'm with trend. Normally, I'd want to be down here if I was doing a normal. I would rather have the moving average down here, bouncing off at the same time and have more room to move. But that's what you can do with the swing side of things. And then
I wasn't aware you could do the swing side of
sure, you can do
this
any
arrow.
that you want. This is why I jumped on it so fast, is because when I started seeing this, is exactly what I taught on Monday nights. The only difference is it provides an arrow and a very simplistic strategy. Mine's pretty simple. But you have to still be able to trade manage, where, golly, blow this thing up.
That's painful. MetaTrader 4 is just so cumbersome.
But you can tell that we are in a very bad place to be, because look at all the arrows are happening at the same place.
Yeah, that's put down your toys and walk away.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I'm in it, but this is actually on the 4 hour, it doesn't look quite so bad.
So for the swing on the arrow, you're using your 4 hour always? I mean, I just didn't know you could do it. I thought it was only
scalping only.
Yeah.
No, you there's multiple strategies, and I'm guessing you could also even make it a wealth bucket type trading system and go to a higher time frame, a daily. Just understand that when you do that, you're not going to get those trades all the time. This is going to be one of those ones that, if you are impatient, you might as well just sit down, because the cool thing about it is I haven't set it up this way, but I'm going to. If you'll notice this particular chart on the 15-minute, We'll look at that in here in a second. It has all the pairs. These are
Okay.
all the pairs that I can look at. Now I can look at these real quick, and the only one that really stands out to me right now is this one. And the reason being is I didn't see red right off the bat, but I haven't got a signal to go long yet. I'm not seeing any resistance, but I'm in that zone, a timing zone, the session zone. I've had a bounce, but it's lingered here. It's been retested, but there's been no arrow, but I don't see any sort of resistance. And so you can look at these pretty quickly and recognize if you're within. If you get an alert and you see both colors on in. So for instance, if I see a long on the Kiwi US, I'm not going long. I'm sitting on the red. I'm not even gonna look at it. There's no reason to.
So Brian, for your euro yen, did you get an alert on that, or do you just kind of look through them to see? I
just saw it.
Oh, you just saw it.
No alert. I'm waiting for an arrow. The only one we've really gotten anything is a US Swiss is a sell. So let me go ahead and look and see what that looks like, just so you guys can see it. Obviously, we haven't had anything for IRIS, so we're kind of playing around with different things.
We did just get an arrow alert on the US yen.
Did
on
I?
the 15 minute just now, yes.
Which would correlate with the US Swiss. So I have a bounce, and I would go right here. Let's go ahead and do it just so you see how it works. Let me go to one-click trading is a lot easier for me. Where did it go?
Oh yeah, okay. Okay. You see how it's red box, red box, red box. You're in the money zone and you got an arrow in your direction.
Yep.
That's officially a good trade.
If you have room.
Right. And in this case,
I'm guessing it may not make it, but we're going to go ahead and modify. I put 2 orders in, so let's go ahead and get rid of. Well, that's all right. So it's a demo.
Yeah.
Let me go ahead and modify. And so what you're looking for here is a 20 pip move. So I'm going to, my price is at 88.59. So my target's going to be 88.39. This is pretty close to that one. So I'm going to just drop that down just a bit. And then my stop, I'll just leave it at that, and I'll just stick it out there. So personally, I'm not a big fan of this necessarily, because look where my target's at.
Yep.
I didn't take time to measure it. I just wanted to show you guys how it runs. Knowing the US Swiss is the same trade we were just looking at on the IRIS trading review platform, but knowing how, and if you notice, it's pretty much the same trade.
It is.
How about the US yen, Brian? That's one that came out just now. Let's see what that one looks like.
No, it's a no-go for me.
Yep, too close.
Yeah, too close to this one. Even though it's considered weak, it's too close. Now, there are some theories and some traders who are coming back, and when it pulls back into this area, they'll take, if it still looks like it's strong, they'll take the long from down here. I would still probably not do that. Keep the simple rule until you get where you're good at it.
You're probably going to get a red zone up here. There's probably going to be a red zone generated
here
in the next look. Yeah,
it could.
Yeah,
but that's the thing is with arrow, you can't guess. You can't go. I think there's going to be a red because the rule won't let you do that, which is pretty cool. If you're doing your strategy, it works out really, really well. I mean, it's going to be what it's going to be. And so if we're basing it on the strategy of keeping things simple, then a person can tell a couple of things. If you're any sort of a trend trader, you can see right here is why some people would wait for it to come back and touch this line again and go. But you can also see that all we did was create a wedge. So it's not all, it's just a different way of looking at how you're going to take a trigger in. And this is why it resonates with me, because this is exactly what I do on Monday nights with longer term. I don't draw trend lines. I use SSI, but on a 15-minute chart, I would use trend and where's the momentum at. I don't care about trend lines on the longer, bigger term trading. But to keep things simple, you have a simple rule. You're in the money zone. You had a bounce from green. And technically this is considered a level on a level. Those who understand that will understand that. But you got 3 and 2. And really, I'm not looking at it I should be going back a little bit more just to see the overall. So that's close enough for me. I mean, you get the last session, you can see still down, but this is the key area. Still going to be the key area. This would have been interesting had it fit the rules. That would have been an interesting balance because this one hadn't created a demand area or support area yet. And that would be a confirmation to stay in it for sure. This one would have been interesting because you had a bounce, retracement, then the arrow, but an arrow came in. You'd have had to take some pain to get back here, and but you'd had room. You know, normally this is a 40 pip stop, 20 pip target is the basic bounce arrow go strategy. It's the basic 20-40. So you would have had plenty of room. As a matter of fact, your stop would have been up here, and your target would be down in this area. And just so you guys know also, color of the candles do not mean who's in control. That's a color scheme that Nathan has put on the candles. You can tell that like this candle started up here. It should, in a normal candlestick, this would be red, but it's green because it's identifying that it's in more of an uptrend. That's all it's doing for you. So don't let the candle color fool you.
That's a great observation, Al. Al, I'm sorry.
Hey, that's called
Brian.
They're entertaining.
Because I'm so used to it. But yeah,
you got this candle here. That's a better example since it's not active. We would notice that this is a buyer's candle, but it's red, and it's red because it's still contained within a downtrend.
That's really good.
You see the candle and you know if it's in an uptrend or a downtrend just by the color. I think that's awesome.
Right. The color tells you the trend.
Yeah.
You just have to be careful still to, again, you can overanalyze this thing to make it obsolete. So you really have to keep things relatively simple. I'm aware of it because I was thinking who's in control, because that's my training going back in to understand, okay, who's in control. Well, that's not the strategy to figure out who's in control. The strategy of this is, did I get a bounce? Did I get an arrow with the trend? And do I have enough room? And that's it. And there's no other thinking. And you can really mess this thing up by getting over. Now, on a flip side, let's go over here. And while we're getting close to making our money, let's jump in on this US yen just quickly and give it a different look. Okay, in my opinion, we're going up, as we would have thought. Now, if you look at the 15-minute chart here, we blow that up, you will see that, yeah, we've been in a downtrend. Here was that arrow, and that would have been your ride up. But you really weren't in an uptrend as such. I mean, now you're just really, if you look where price is currently at, it's just the mean for the last, since back 4 or 5 sessions, since back here, it's just the mean. It just keeps coming back to the mean, bouncing or going over, coming back and lingering. So this could be just one of those ones that's sticking out. So what do we do? What do we look when we look at something like this, and let's say this wasn't here and this wasn't here, we just had a little higher up. We could use this tool to see where our strength is. US is stronger than yen. On the 15-minute chart, we can drop it down and look at what it is. US is stronger than yen, but on that lower time frame, I think it's not quite as critical. The yen is stronger than US. And what's our whole moving averages doing? We have 2 green and one red. I mean, so the overall push is up. We can tell that just by the momentum. Again, these momentum numbers are not going to be real great today. There's no volume to actually indicate them. Just like yesterday when we had the Swiss sitting at 7 and the US was sitting at 0 at one point, and it was moving up. I mean, that's really strange to have that strength and weakness together and it not going in the direction of that strength and weakness. And that just tells you there's no volume trading going on. It's just people like us that are all, nobody can change the market. There's not a government sitting here waiting for a price point. Governments are basically closed at this point. You may find a bank that would do something, but the odds are slim because they're towards the end of the year, and most bankers will take this week would be their vacation week. The week before Christmas, maybe a few of the upper echelon people would. Some of the very wealthy just take it all the whole month. But banking as a whole, this week between the Christmas and the New Year's is pretty dry. When I was in banking, this is when we would do all of our paperwork. We would be setting up for the next year. We would be just cleaning up the junk that we hadn't cleaned up for the whole year. We weren't looking at charts or price points to buy or sell anything. So any type of big movement here could just be it could be a mutual fund, somebody just clearing out a little bit of room. But the odds of you having a strong 100-point swing with a trend are slim. And so that's why it's so weird to be, I don't trade during this week because this is the one week that I know for sure that there's really no, for the most part, there's really no institution, governments, or big companies making deals. And we're also here in the States, and we don't direct the whole world, but we impact a lot. We're getting ready for a presidential change and a stimulus package. And so I would assume as soon as that stimulus package goes out, the US dollar is going to get weaker because you just diluted it some more. And that would explain why the US Swiss is going the way it's going. So let's go take a look at it real quick again. And we are right at the point. This could be a pretty nice little trade. So where are we at? So I'm sitting on take profit. I'm at $1,000. I'm right there. I'm not seeing anything that just freaks me out, but I'm right near the bottom. So normally when I get this close, I would just close it out. Take the profit and go. And I'm done. And now, it could pop up. We don't know. Most likely it's going to move a little further down in our zone. But when you get that close, unless you're just, especially like a day like today, take the profit that you got. I probably got, instead of 8 pips, I probably got 6, which is okay. And you can tell we're probably, I go 7 for 8. I bet you I got 7 outside of spread. No telling what, I don't even know what the spreads are today. Not even, let's see.
1.6.
Yeah, that's not horrible, but
still not, I don't know. It cost you, it's about 50% more than it should be.
Yeah. Again, another reason not to trade. I think this is going to go down further. But we took our profit. And the thing that I've been watching with a lot of traders, I've been watching some sessions on various different things, and boy, do they use hindsight as a verification, and you can't do that. There's no way you're going to know what this thing is going. Well, we noticed that this was going to happen. No, you didn't. In the trading, live trading, you did not know it was going to go all the way down. There's no way you could have known it was going to go all the way down. And that's why you have to have a plan of how to get out when you get out. When you get that close to your target, and if you don't really care and you want to see it ride, then you let it ride. If you want to make sure you pocket that money, small wins are a lot better than big losses. And so there's our target any which way. So again, what time is it? 7:30? Yeah, okay. 8:30 Central or Eastern. That's your market open, isn't it?
No, 9:30.
9:30 for you. Yeah, that's right. See, I don't even trade in the mornings anymore. It's an hour away. But that may turn it back up again.
But we do often have a good move between 8:30 and 9. We often have a major move.
8:30 Eastern?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's where we're at right now. So you had a pretty decent, when you say decent move, let's go blow this thing up again. It's really not that big. We're making this big. This is an amazing move. Now, this is where I would be considering going short again. So we talked about this. It's the same picture as yesterday. So in the scope of things, this is, again, technical analysis type stuff. This candle right here was a whole 4 pips. However, if you notice what was created, you had this nice pivot, good solid drop. Then we had this little area of drop again. It's kind of base and drop, but this is a drop, basing, and drop. But this area right here, the drop, normal circumstances, I would say with normal volatility, if you see a picture like this where it's boom, 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 this area is where the orders left, but look where our triangle's at. We drew this without even know this is not hindsight. We drew this before all this was really taking place because I got in right here and then it moved away. I would not have a problem taking another entry right here short if everything else was in line. That would just be mine. And again, we created this M, and you can measure your M to your top, and from here down, we'd be right about here. That's another technical analysis piece, patterns. And sometimes, especially in these times like this, it's self-fulfilling prophecy. We create things that happen. Let's see what we got. I just got a beep on my phone again. So the pound Swiss, and this is on the 15-minute sell. And just curiosity before we do that. Let's look at this pound Swiss on a 15-minute chart. Swiss is high, pound's low. So we would assume this one's going down and they gave us a sell. So we come over to pound Swiss if I can find it. Let me clear this out because it's probably behind. There it is. And we look at arrow for a second. Does it give us the picture we want? Now, this doesn't look to me to have any demand or arrow or anything. So let me squeeze this over here. There we go. We're in the money zone, but look at our arrows are all in the same spot. If this would have happened up in here, I've been all for it. But measuring this out, that's not enough room, so I don't take it. And we're right at the mean again. Where price is currently. I think it's going to drop. Personally, I think it's going to drop. I think the Swiss is strong. It's a safe haven type currency still, even though it's not considered one of the stronger ones now. Love this stuff. Now, on the big picture, I don't know if I have it on a swing. Don't know if I loaded it up yet. But I've made $1 on that account. So this is my swing. I made a whole 13 cents. This is amazing. So let me see if I got the pound Swiss. I don't have it loaded, so I don't know. Let's look at gold just for curiosity's sake. See what that's doing. Usually when the stock market's going to go up, gold will come down. And, well, we got a little problem here. We've got, and I bet you, zoom out just a tad. Yeah. Sideways. Range bound between here and here. I would not be a seller at this point. I'd wait for back up here. You got a nice little wedge formed here. We can draw a wedge on a 4-hour. This is actually a 1 hour because we did change it up a little bit on the gold. But you got this nice little wedge forming. And I don't want to cut that. I want to go right about there. There's one. And then I like the sharper version better.
Dude, that's a monster move.
Which one?
That whole wedge that you're creating.
It's a big, yeah.
That's huge.
And you could, I mean, really, you can't slim it down much more than that on a 4-hour chart. You know, obviously you're on an hour chart, so you could, and we're getting tighter and tighter and tighter, which makes all the sense in the world. I mean, this doesn't surprise me at all, and it's been bouncing off of the wedge pattern here. It's been observing the support. It's been observing the resistance. This resistance that this has been bounced off of is created back here. So the demand was created way back here. So, I mean, for this, I mean, you're looking for a $5 move-ish. I would not be doing anything at this time, but yeah. Let's blow this up just a tad. Remember, buyers in control here. We really don't have a bounce off of here. It's just moved a little bit away and went sideways. Again, we probably won't see much big movements. And this is a lot of noise. Just a lot of noise. And then let's see what we got over here. We got another alert. $1.20. I'm just knocking it out of the park. No alerts on there either.
Yeah, look at that. You're in the money pretty big, eh?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how I'm going to spend it, but I sure do like it. I was tempted. I was tempted today to do sniper, max 2 pair, and just let it do its thing. But I just don't see why I would do that, other than I have that feeling I want to be in a trade. But that's that emotional side that I really don't want to mess with. So now we've come to the point where our blue line was exactly where we expected it to be, and that's where it stopped at. You can see where our blue line came into play. That's where we were expecting to stop. That's why our target was just above it. And we may not have got filled until we got down here because of the spread. But now we would have known we would have got filled if I'd have just left it alone. But that's and there again, we talked about it not being surprised if it would come back up into this area again. And that's kind of what seemingly going to happen. Nothing major switching here. Nothing here, but this is just a normal ebb and flow pullback. I'm blowing this up. Again, 1 minute charts. Drop base, drop. It's this area right here that I really like. It may not get up there. It's coming into this little candle area here. Strong 3-4 candles down. This one really doesn't count because it really buyers were in control. Seller, 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 seller. This area it's come back into, and now we have sells again. And if it's truly going to want to maintain a downtrend, it will go past the blue line or touch it again. Otherwise, it's going to consolidate and create another wedge pattern, which it very well could do. And it'll be a lot shallower. It'll be a lot smaller than the other one. We'll start it here. And so you could come in here probably already now and do something like this. Now that's a flat bottom. And I did that because we have this range bound. We had the blue line here. It's a flat bottom. And we can pull this back later and if it comes down to a different point and figure it out. Again, I wouldn't take this long just because the bigger picture one's up higher. Not a great day to be trading, but it's a fun day to just play around and dream a little bit and try to, with no pressure, just kind of visualize what's happening. So we have a basing here. This could be a pivot, rally, basing, and a rally out. That does not mean we're in an uptrend. It just means it's doing a move back, a retracement.
It looks like it's more in the bottom third of a range, but looking at the bottom third of your bigger wedge.
Right. It's that nice 23 probably again.
And there was another arrow alert a few minutes ago on a 5-minute chart on the gold, U.S. gold.
You want to go arrow, you said?
Yes.
Why didn't my phone? There it is. Okay. I got so many beeps on my phone now that I don't know. I'm getting double the alerts for some reason, which is okay. But so buying, and I think we talked about this.
Yeah, I think we did look at it a little bit about the same time frame.
We just have to determine, was that a quality bounce off? And do we have room? So it closed here. This would be your place where you buy. So let's go ahead and do it.
You have $5 range up to the zone.
Okay, sure.
Looks like you did.
This is why I do it on demo. I usually take as many of the trades that look feasible as possible so I can get a sample size of what is working and what doesn't. So let's go ahead and do I did my market. I noticed this was, even though it's a screen, it was a pullback to where we talked about a pullback needing to happen. So let's see what happens. So we had our bounce. We're above the moving average. We got our arrow. So bounce, arrow, go. You're supposed to get in here, but I got in at a better price. I didn't know that. I was just late to the game. And then I'll come in here and let me modify. So I got in, what's the odds of that? Dead on 1879. Wow. That's pretty impressive. I don't care who you are. 1879 would be.
Why was 1879 such a?
Well, the fact that I got it on the zeros.
Oh, I get it. Okay.
In the middle of a trading day.
Gold. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. I mean,
you're not
30
gonna count
cents.
that.
I mean, geez. So 1879, that means we're going to go to 1884. Okay. And then that means what do you normally do your stops for gold, Al? 10?
Yeah, $10 stop, $5 target. And actually, you got in at $1 better price than the alert came in, because alert came in at 1879.98.
Yeah, I'm pretty amazing like that.
You're awesome.
I'm being very facetious. Stop loss. Yeah, I'm so not used to 5-minute charts because
You're never facetious.
Very deep in sarcasm. I would be better.
Mm-hmm.
So look what we're done. So it's going to be a push. It's going to be difficult, but our target is just above the red. Now, with the strategy that we use, normally we would not have taken this because the number over here on retest indicates a strong level of resistance. The higher the number, the stronger the resistance level. However, if you're looking at it on a trend, we've got our two levels here. Trend is green. We're above the moving average. And so we take a bite at it and hope. Now, our stop, I would not leave my stop here probably. I probably would put my stop down here in this area. But for the sake of the tool, I'm just going to let it, because I am demoing and I am learning and I'm going to learn to trust, I'm leaving it just as is. I was willing to lose that $10 stop. And we'll see what happens. Right now, I've lost a whole 58 cents, and it's mainly on gold, which is all right. And it's now coming below the moving average. Now, here's another rule. Should a new resistance level be created while I'm in this, I have to immediately close my position regardless. So once you come into this trading on the scalping strategy, you need to make sure that if that rule happens, is broken, you get out of your trade. Don't hang on to it longer. Take a small loss. So we can watch this if we want.
And the stricter you abide by those rules, the more consistent your results are going to be.
Well, we'd hope so.
Yeah.
You'd hope so. But it's range bound. I mean, your best entry actually was down here.
Yeah, it's gross for trading.
Yeah. And you can tell there's too many arrows in the same area with no big movements in any direction. So I would assume that this one's going to be a longer term hold, and who knows which direction it's going to go, because there's really not a breakout on this. We'll see. Right now, I've only lost 9 cents, and that's because I'm making money on the U.S. Swiss. Just rocking.
Oh, yeah. One thing I do like about this one is the fact you have that level on the level down below. Yeah. Oftentimes, you'll see it break the first level, but it only breaks to the halfway between those two levels. So if your stop's below that second bigger level, it's in a pretty good spot to where, yeah, make it challenged a little bit, but oftentimes it'll just take the first level and then go back up and then retest that red zone.
And if you notice this, and this, I don't know if this is part of the strategy or not, but if you notice in the money zone, the pivot low of the last session was right where our stop's at. Now, I'd get stopped because of spread, but I could drop it down just a tad more, but I'm not. I'm going to stick with the rule. Looking at our target, you will notice that it is just above today's session high, but it's dead mean of yesterday's big movements. We do not have the movement on gold that we had yesterday. Not even close. So if we had a bounce up here from resistance, this would have been probably your first entry, and you could have ridden it, add to the position, and you would have ridden it all the way down. Then you could have, I don't know if there was any resistance formed in here because it would wipe it out. If there was no, I would assume there were some red bars in here, but if not, you had your bounce arrow and you could have ridden. Maybe this one would have been the one you would have played, because that by that time you'd have gone through and you may have created some support. This one may have been an option for you because this was not created yet.
And we have a brand new Euro Aussie sell on the arrow.
Let's go over there. And we still don't have any IRIS.
No, I think they turned IRIS off between the last 2 weeks of the month of December.
It seems like it. You said Euro
There
Aussie?
also might not be enough volume to be
Yeah.
creating those alerts necessary.
They're not
Because it's not
quality
just
anymore.
trend lines, right?
Yeah, I've just never seen, that is also a possibility. I just haven't seen it go this long of a period. I mean, it's been, almost 10 days, almost 9 days that it hasn't had any alerts at all. And
Yeah,
that's pretty unusual.
yeah, that's true.
I don't trade the Euro Aussie, so it's not here. We have to wait for a different one. I have lost a little bit of money on my Euro pound. Not surprising. And where are we at? And there's our possibility of a retouch of the other triangle. Now it's going to be interesting. Going back to a wedge IRIS more mentality. Swiss is middle, US is middle. Yeah, this is just a pullback. My bad. Wow, it's getting really close to there. Big picture still says to be short. So remember, I said that I would consider it if it came up in here. It may not get there, but now on the 1 minute, obviously moving averages have changed. We are now coming in here. All the other moving averages for 15 minute are fine. A lot of noise though on my chart, and I can't handle that. Yeah, so we've got our green line here that's touched and fallen off of. Yellow is right along our triangle. We're in good shape. If we wanted to take another entry, we could. I'm not going to because I wouldn't normally do it. And we already kind of did that momentum trade already today. Al, you're kind of the leader of this band. Do you still want to continue on? We've gone almost our hour. I think we're beating a dead horse at this point. But it's totally, totally up to you guys.
I just muted my mic. Okay. I think we'd be okay with wrapping this thing up around 9 o'clock. There really isn't anything going on. We did have a nice little demonstration of a couple trade of what we should do and what we shouldn't do.
Thanks, Al.
Only referring to the ones that other trades should
That
do.
was really subtle. That was well played.
Hey,
And you
sometimes
didn't even change the inflection of your voice at all. It's like, yeah,
Hey, let me just say this. I would just say this, traders.
You had a great trade call on this one, and
yeah,
that was without the IRIS alert. And then you also had some alerts with the arrow that were not qualified for trades, and so yeah, you did perfect as far as I can see.
And it's doing exactly what we thought it would probably do. Come up here and move. I mean, it's not rocket science, but I would always tell every trader, even when you make a bad trade and it happens to make money, that doesn't mean you create a strategy based on it.
Yeah, sometimes you just get lucky, which doesn't work to your
Sometimes
advantage.
you get lucky. And even though we had a good feeling about this Swiss franc, I would have never done this in a live account. And it worked out, but I would have never done it in a live account because knowing what today is, knowing how it all looked, yeah, it worked out, but it could have very well worked against me too. It could still work out. It could, when I said mention going in here and taking a second position, this is where I would have done it at, and it could work out again. And that is normal. That is normal in a normal trading day, but this is not a normal trading session at all. So just because you get lucky doesn't mean you build a strategy on it and make it your trade plan.
As it's been said, you don't do yourself any favors by taking trades that don't fit your trade plans and getting lucky, because all that does is get your brain programmed to do things that you shouldn't be doing. And luck does not win the long race. It's the consistency that does.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, then I'm going to go ahead and shut things down. Recording. You guys all have a great new year. We will not be back in the Hawkeye room until next Monday. I believe that's January 3rd or 4th, whatever that day is, Monday, regardless. So next Monday, we will see you guys in the morning.
Thank you,
have a
Brian.
happy new year.
Thank you, Matt.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a
Happy
great
and
new
healthy
year.
New Year, guys.